post a thing. That won't do any good. This is my phone. Sweet, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that. It'll make sense in
single one.
Every single. This is Patreon. There won't be a time. Won't be a time. Let me know when you get some people too.
I assume it brings them up automatically.
Yeah. No, she'll bring it. We can put it in there. I know we got a lot to do tonight. I don't want to kill extra 10 or 15 waiting on that. Is anybody here yet?
One person.
One person. Say who you are, one person. We're happy you're here. Let us know if the audio is good or if Redneck Jeff needs to move a little closer. Or if we need to move a little closer to Redneck Jeff. I guess we could do that.
Hick from Sticks.
Who is it?
Now there's 3.
3? Woohoo!
4.
4. All right. I bet David W. doesn't show up today because we did this in the Cowboys game. That wasn't my intent. He is a Cowboys fan. Yeah. That wasn't my intent, but we already scheduled it. I wasn't going to move it, so, shit happens.
Frank Liberto says, hi, guys.
Awesome. What's up, man?
And Ragnarok Morse said, yo.
Yep. Right, well, today, I'm not going to hog this camera because today is your guys' chance and Curt's chance. And let me tell you, this was his idea, so this is a big moment. I'm very proud of you. I want to say that first of all. I am. I'm serious. Every other time Curt has done a live, it's been me like going, hey, Curt, maybe you could do this. Maybe you could do this. Or you could film this. He's always like, oh,
Kicks from 6 says, how about them Pates?
They won, all I can say. They always win. But this was his idea to do a live for this video to be yours. So I'm very excited. I truly am proud that you wanted to do that. So today is his chance to kind of go through what he does to breed rats and his progression, and for you guys to ask any rat questions of him that then he can respond to. Right? Sounds good? I'm also about to set a timer. Let me get out my phone here.
Ragnarok says Vikings didn't do too good today. I hear.
Did like shit today. I'm also going to set a timer for 20 minutes. Okay? And, it's already there. It's already there, right there. 20 minutes. And when this is 20 minutes is up, then we're going to look up at that point in time, and we're going to announce the end of the charity auction. So if you're thinking about getting on that charity auction, get in on it in the next 20 minutes and go.
What's up, Wolf guys?
Go. That's 20 seconds. That's a bad timer. We'll delete that timer. What the fuck was I doing? It's 25. I know, I'm trying to.
Let me do it.
Oh. What's wrong with this thing?
The operator.
So 20 minutes. It started now. So, okay, you're 4.
I don't know. So basically, what was it like? 5-6 years ago, we were kind of hanging out, and we.
Make it sound like we're dating.
Well, no, I don't.
Was it Netflix and chill after that? We were just kind of hanging out a little bit.
No, I think I was still married at the time, but I don't think we were. Yeah.
Were you still married at the time?
Yeah.
No, you weren't, because you were living in the shop.
Which one's the charity snake?
The charity snake?
Yeah.
The charity snake sale we haven't set up yet. It will be a pie this year, I'll tell you that. This is for that spider possible double het that we listed the charity auction. You have to go to that post and comment on that post.
Okay, so answer to the question, I don't think I have seen that one in person.
No, there's the pictures right there for everybody to see. We posted it last Sunday. Go ahead, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I was still married because I bought some snakes, and my ex-wife made her.
Yeah, when you bought snakes, you said that. I thought you really put these out.
No, but that's the whole reason why, because at the time we were buying rodents, and I remember since I had snakes, I was pitching in money that would pay for.
Frank wants to know how many snakes. Should you start thinking about producing your own rats? He's currently at 11.
About then, it just kind of depends.
I'll get closer so you can hear.
I could move to you. Yeah, we can sit down. Why don't we just scoot to you?
Oh shit!
I can use the table to set my drink on. The question will be in the middle of the tripod.
But I think once you get 8, 9, 10, probably 10 snakes or more, that's when you should start thinking about breeding or come up with a way to um, figure out how you're going to get a constant supply of rodents.
Yeah.
Because breeding isn't for everyone. It takes time. It takes space. It takes a lot more cleaning than what these do. Like I go through all the rats within usually around 10 days, and we clean all the tubs, and we have it to where we switch off, and it takes quite a while. Like we actually hired someone at the pet shop to help out with it because it's
Well, that's our situation's different than a lot of people's too.
yeah.
Because we're breeding more rats than what we need. We're breeding.
But
enough
even
rats
when
for all
even
of
when
us
I was
together.
doing it, it would take a good, I don't know, 5-6 hours to go through and
Oh,
clean
yeah.
them all.
I remember it took you forever. We were working hard. Like, I know one thing I always get asked is a ratio. Like, do you know how many rats you would need per 10 snakes, let's say?
I don't know, I'd start out kind of slow and breed probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 females,
It's about five females. So about one female to every 2 adult snakes, you think?
probably.
Keep up with it. Because I know we get asked that a lot. I'm always like, oh, that's Curt. But you never remember asking.
Yeah, and it's like I like to, if you're at a smaller breeding rats, I like to switch out males so you can kind of vary how your females lay, because you can put your males in there, then they all have babies at the same time. Well, then they all grow up, and you're sitting there with a bunch of smalls when you need pinkies and rat pups and stuff like that too. And
Yeah, and also you had it down to a science, man. When we was just us and we weren't part of the shop, like I always had exactly what I needed. Like you always had the right amount of smalls, ping. Like you just had it set up based on the movement that it worked out really, really well.
And y'all supplied me too.
yeah, and I also remember like I was really like trying to research it. I'd write down. Like I'd come in like every week or so and wait, like say a pinky was born, and I'd weigh it like a couple days later and see how much weight they were gaining per day, and it was it was weird. So like a pinky, say it weighs like 5 grams in like a week, it can gain like another 5. Like they can almost like triple it. They grow really really fast. When they're born and within 5 weeks they'll be up to a small.
So if you get that rotation going, then I can produce 20 rats a week.
Yeah.
So in 5 weeks, I'll have 20 smalls, 20 of this, 20 of this, 20 of this, 20 of this on down.
Yeah, so if you can say say if you're just breeding small, you say this tub right here has pinkies. Well, then your next thing is say in a week or so to have the next one start having pinkies, and then switch it. So then by the time you get down to here, those up there are smalls. Well, then you have pinkies down here that are just born. So you have because usually if you have 11 snakes or so, you don't have 11 adults. So only need smalls.
We're back. Yeah, we're on this thing for a minute. Hello, dear.
So any questions or?
Nope. There are no comments coming up.
Yeah. And then the main thing with them is just make sure, like with anything, is just make sure they're clean. They have plenty of food and water.
Trisha Galena wants to know how you handle them without getting bit.
I always grab them by the base of their tail. I don't normally try to pick them up. I've only been bit a few times, and most of it is when I'm trying to reach in and grab, say, like a baby rat from its mom, and I'm not paying attention to the adult rats in there, and they.
All right.
We got the tripod in.
But like at our shop, I estimate like we have 5,000 rats, and I go through at least once a week or every other week cleaning them all. So I handle thousands of rats a week.
What's the best food and bedding?
The best food is we use the Missouri. It's called the Rodent Breeder 6F Rodent Breeder. We get it from our co-op, and it costs $27 and like 89 cents or something like that for a bag, a 50-pound bag.
And Jeff, your rat collection is probably more appropriate size to what most people here are, because I'm guessing most people aren't trying to feed half a state. How much rat food do you go through? Because you use the same food.
It's usually right around 150 pounds a month.
And use the same food we use,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
3 bags a month,
3 bags. So bees what?
$75 a month.
75,
Maybe 80.
close to that.
And do you sell some rats now too?
A few, yeah.
And then the one thing too is like when we, since we're a business, we have our tax ID number and all that. You can take that into the co-op.
How many males
can
to
get it.
5 females?
How many males to 5 females? I would have at least 2 males then.
Wouldn't you have those separated though, so the
Yeah.
males don't fight? So you didn't run 2 tubs, like one 1.3 and one 1.2.
Yeah, you'd have 2 females to 1 male, and then 3 females to 1 male. You can have them all in one tub, but I don't think it's as efficient. But yeah, you know, if you get too many females in there to the male, it just kind of the male won't do as well. He'll kind of lose weight and won't be as. It's just too much for
He
him.
will literally fuck himself to death.
Oh, not that, but it's just.
Dun,
And
dun,
then,
dun.
you'll be constantly cleaning out the tubs too.
Rate should be kept in pairs. Bring that back. So either 4 or 6 females, 2 in each tub, or will you put more than 2 males in a tub?
It depends on the tub size.
Like this.
Like that size, I would probably put 3 females, no more than that, to 1 male.
And then that FB40.
This one, you'd be 2 females to a male.
It's just kind of the size thing. You need to have enough room. Like, you know, yes, it's a rat factory. Yes, we're breeding them for feeders. No, we're not trying to make the happiest rats in the world. We're trying to make healthy rats.
But the main thing, it's not about the adults in there. It's once they start having a litter. Say you have 4 or 5 females in there. Once they start having babies, there's just going to be so many because they average. I average around 8 to 9 babies per rat.
Yeah,
So
if
if
you
you
have the
have-
space.
Yeah, so once they start growing up, then there's going to be so many of them in there, and the tub will just get dirty too fast. And
So what's the best way to build a CO2 chamber?
basically, what I use is just a plastic tub that I poke a hole in it, and then put a little bit on the top part, put some air holes in it, because when you put the CO2 in there, it's heavier than the air, so it goes in there and it pushes all the air out. But we just use like a plastic tub that. I've used different ones because somehow it gets moved or lost, so I have to make a new one.
Everything at the shop gets lost.
Yeah.
It is the least organized place in the world. You guys think I'm unorganized? We should hang out that place for about a week.
And then someone asked about what is the best bedding. Just something that you can find cheap. I found the cheapest, I think, is like pine shavings.
Cowboys from Co-op.
Yeah, and then I've also heard that people use the like the wood pellets, the compressed pellets. In our area, I've tried to look and try to find a place to get them, to try them out, and I haven't. Like people even use a mixture of like regular pine shavings to some of that because the compressed wood is supposed to be more absorbent and it's supposed to do better. But I haven't found a good area around here to buy it from. And we spend, I think it's about $8 for a big bag of the pine shavings we get it from the co-op place too.
About how many tubs will one of those do?
So it'll do quite a bit. Like if I had 1 bag, it'll do probably almost 2 bags will do like say it. All of those.
I think I average right around 50 to 60 tubs per bag.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
We do because I know when we do ours, our racks at the shop have 32 tubs in them, and 1 bag can do about that. So usually, like I'll go through and do 9 tubs in a week, and I'll usually go through about 8.
So you get more miles than I do out of my Reptile Prime.
Yeah.
So I basically get 3 tubs a bag. It's like $3 a tub change, more or less.
Yeah,
So,
but our bags are probably like
For me.
more than all those combined.
Just anything kiln dried for the substrate.
Yeah. And then also what I really recommend is doing some type of insect management. What we do is we put I also buy the
It's a fancy word, insect management.
yeah, basically just making sure that you don't get a bunch of fleas or mites in there. I did get a really bad flea infestation one time, and what I basically used was one of the little insect smoke bombs. Put it in there, and it went. And basically, you don't let it lay as long as you do like in a house because you have rats and stuff in there, and then you just go and turn your vent fan on and vent it all out. And,
Yeah.
but I think I let it sit for about 8 or 9 minutes or
And
so.
the mites, like, they're not the same as reptile mites, correct?
No, they're different.
I mean,
They bite. I don't like 'em.
They bite people.
Yeah.
But the mites on a rat aren't going to transfer to your snake. Now, that being said, if you have mites and you have rats, like reptile mites in the same facility, the rat can carry reptile mites. They won't feed on the rat, but they get transferred to the rat. They'll be there, and you can bring them into your snake population.
Yeah, and there's so many different types of mites. Like if you go look them up, I don't know, there's a
Mites
bunch of
everywhere.
different ones. But yeah, reptile ones compared to rodent ones are different.
Yeah.
What's the best way to tame ASFs?
You don't.
Feed them off. I
I've,
like them. They've always been nice to me.
I've been bit by more ASFs and mice than I have rats.
Do they get like cat fleas, and how do you tell if there are mites?
Basically, like what I see is I'll see them crawling around on the tub, like in here. You'll see a little black dot, and if you watch it, you'll see it moving. But it'll be on the side of the tubs. Is how I usually see them.
And those itch a lot, and you'll be getting bit. Like when we had that infestation, I didn't like to go in the rat room. I was like, "Motherfucker, what the hell was that?" And they'd just be getting bit because they're a mammal blood feeding.
Yeah. So then what we do is we put in a like say you put, just for example, 4 scoops of pine in there. Then we got some cedar shavings, some really fine ground cedar shavings, and I put like 1 scoop. So it's like a 1-to-4 ratio. And then also we have some type of like an insect, like basically they use it for like cattle and things like that to keep fleas and
So why the cedar?
flies. Because it's natural, it has oils in it that naturally repel insects and they don't like it. They use it a lot for and dog kennels and stuff too. Throw it down in there, it keeps the fleas down. So what?
No. Well, I talked about doing.
Lindsay
that before.
Price wants to know if Reptile Prime will ever do bulk pricing for consumers. That's why she doesn't use it.
I understand it's expensive as fuck. Pardon my language. I doubt it.
Yeah, we've talked to them and they won't.
They don't do bulk pricing for me. Okay, so it's not like we're not a sponsor of theirs. They don't bulk price for us. The way we get it bulk prices, we're one of the few shops in the nation that carries it. We set that deal up a long time ago before it was even going to be Reptile Prime, and it was still going to be Herptopia. And with that, they sell to us in a bulk pricing.
Yeah, we usually buy 15 to 20 cases at a time.
Yeah, and so what'll happen is we may want to sell 10 cases, and then each one of the owners is wanting to buy some to use for their own stuff. So like we bought 3 cases the other day. Yeah. So I don't expect it to see the bulk pricing. And I understand if you don't use it because of the price. And I do still think it's the best thing out there I've used. Price point wise, though, what you have to pay on the consumer front, is it that much better than ReptiChip? ReptiChip's pretty fucking good, so it's a decision you have to make. But again, the cedar, I've been told that's toxic to rats, too. So
yeah, that's why you don't want to just put. That's why I said like a 1-to-4 ratio. You don't want to put just cedar.
I was mixing cedar in with mine, and I was having some feeding issues with my snakes. I pulled the cedar out, and my feed responses went up.
Yeah. But and then also, like with that, like so people use it in dog kennels. Well, that's an open area in the air, and all that gets in there, so it isn't going to bother the dogs and stuff. To where these are like in a tub, and they're confined to.
So it's the right mix. It's okay to use as long as, but you don't want to use
just that.
Yeah. That's because that's what I've had people go, you can't use that in there. This is gonna happen. I'm like, pretty sure my rat guy's got a handle on it.
Chad Walton said antisocial fuckers and Pro Coco, it's affordable.
Pro Coco is. And Pro Coco, here's the kicker, guys. This is something I learned a long time ago from a really reliable source, like 100%. If you go buy ReptiChip or Pro Coco or any of those, they're literally the exact same shit. It's just different packaging. Reptile Prime is a little different, and that's only because they made it by accident when they were trying to make Curt's favorite cat litter.
Yeah, we use it for our cats. But yes, they mainly started doing cat litter, and then somehow they like, oh well, this will work for reptiles too.
Well, yeah, well, it was actually the leftover.
Chad Lee said he doesn't like ReptiChip. It held moisture too well.
Well, the thing is, Prime is going to hold moisture even better. But what I like better on the Prime, which is kind of getting off topic, is to get the ReptiChip to work, you had to soak that shit and bust it all up. So you start with this really, really wet, and then it does hold really well. This comes dry, so I set the humidity level. I don't have to set it super high, then try to dry it out or fuck with all that. I can just use it as is and wet it to my liking, which has been really nice. Probably one of my favorite things about it, actually.
Trisha Galena wants to know how long from breeding to the rats giving birth.
They have a like around a 21-day gestation period. So as soon as they get pregnant, 21 days later they'll have a litter of pink little rats.
How long so they can get knocked up again?
They can get knocked up the next day.
Yeah.
Boom sauce.
So they can have but I don't really like that. That's why I tried to, say to switch out males because that will just it's really hard on the female rats if just breed them a lot. Because I've had males I've had last over 2 years breeding, but females it just seems so much harder for them to have the babies that it's hard for me when you're breeding to get them to last
Chad
a
Walton
year.
said, "Sorry about your Vikings, Matt."
I know. Still rocking the color. We've had 2 games we played excellent. 2 games we played like a steaming pile of shit. Ugh, it's frustrating.
Lindsay Price said she's thinking about switching to cypress mulch.
Oh, for snakes?
Yeah.
Or for...
We've
Cypress is fine.
yeah, we use some of that in our zoo for different animals.
Yeah.
They use cypress because they buy them. It's cheaper than the prime.
It is cheaper than the prime.
Trisha Galena wants to know if 70 degrees would be too cold for babies. My rat room, personally, I have a space heater in there because I have a lot of temperature fluctuations in my basement. It runs at 70 degrees constant, and
Yeah,
produce-
70s would be a really good because they're furry and they can move their litter around and huddle up if they get cold. But 70, I think, is a good
They're
temperature.
going to do better with cooler than they will with high heat, too, right?
Yeah.
High heat's worse on them than being a little cold.
Yeah, because once they get too hot, then they start to shut down on breeding.
And think about it. Do you want to cuddle up and bang when you're super hot when it's 100 degrees? I don't.
Yeah, sometimes our rat room will get up to like 80, 85, and that's I don't like it that hot. But we have fans in there too to kind of circulate some of the air.
All right, any other rat questions? And this is a 1-minute warning. You have 1 minute left on your timer to get in on that charity auction. When that thing beeps, I'm gonna check it and I'm gonna announce the winner.
And I don't know when I did it too. I did it like really really scientific. Like I was measuring weights of like pinkies and seeing how fast they were growing. I was also keeping on track like on each tub how many
These little hanging signs.
yeah how many or how many in the litter each rat will have because I was in there every day looking at them. So I say, oh, well, this one just laid and she had 8. Well, then that time before that she had 15 or whatever. And so if I could see that where their breeding and their laying was starting to get going down, then I would switch them out and put a brand new breeder female in there. And then also, I've had people ask me about if I've ever had rats like start to eat the babies, and I do. And I really don't know what it is. I've seen some like where they might have like an ear infection or something, and they just aren't like I don't know. They're just acting really weird, and I've had them eat some of the babies. And what I've done is just you can just take out the female and feed her off or something. Or
Time's up.
All right, guys.
Martok wants to know when you move the babies.
when I move them,
Pull them from the tubs.
basically when they're almost like a small when you can start to see them eating their food on their own. It'll probably be right around 4 weeks or so. And then the males will grow faster than the females, the male rats do. But yeah, about 4 weeks is when you can pull them and put them on their own.
It's about where I'm at too.
All right. So all bids are in, and our winner will be Wolfgeist with a bid of $240. And Curt and I talked about this earlier. And if that bid held, it is $10 from the top tier for an animal. We're going to cover the shipping, so it's $250 to sponsor the top level animal. We're going to go ahead and kick an extra $10, right? So Wolfgeist, what I want you to do is you go to the place we linked and let me know. You can pick any animal you want, what animal you'd like us to sponsor, and we will sponsor that animal for Olympus Reptiles charity auction, which is pretty freaking cool, I think. And let me pull that out again. What's the number on that? Of course I didn't put the damn number in there.
Phone number or what?
No, the number of the snake.
Uh-oh.
I think it was this one.
Wolf guy said the white tiger, of course.
Well, there's more than one white tiger.
Oh.
So there's several white tigers. You can pick whichever white tiger you want. I believe this is the animal in question. So I get for not writing the label down on there.
Way to screw it up for everybody.
Well, I have it labeled in the computer, so I can double check, but pretty sure this is the one we're talking about. So doing really well, really healthy, really chunky.
Is that a male or female?
I believe it's a female.
Wolf guy said you could pick.
I can pick? Oh, that's half the fun. It is. You see there, we're not getting
Let me get another light.
a peen out of there. I'll make sure I'm popping the right one though too. Pretty girly. Nothing going back in, so there you are. I will double check what that's saying. And would you like us to ship that tomorrow? That's my next question.
Be arriving Tuesday.
Yes, it'll be arriving Tuesday.
While we're waiting for that, Trisha Galena wants to know how you can tell if a rat is sick.
Basically, there's 3 different sicknesses that I've seen. I've never really seen like a respiratory one.
She also said thank you so much, Curt.
Yeah.
Been waiting forever to be able to ask rat questions.
I haven't really seen like respiratory infections that much in my rats. I would just think that they would get skinny and they'd be having a hard time breathing. But the one I see the most is an ear infection, and the rat will be turning his head to the side and just running like sideways.
Wolf guy said that's fine for tomorrow. Held at the FedEx.
Awesome. I just put the wrong damn code.
But so then the ear infection, they'll be holding their head sideways, and I get a lot of people ask, how do we treat that? And basically, we just feed it off to a snake. And
That
then,
is our medical treatment.
and then also an eye infection. Their eye will just get kind of red, and you can just see it's just really irritated. And then the last one would be a tumor. When the rats are get old enough, sometimes they develop tumors and they just get like this big growth on their side. And I would just feed them off when they do that too. And I was talking to Colin at the shop the other day, because I tell him like I take a lot of the rats that have ear infections or like a tumor, and I feed them to my boa at the house because it eats the larger rats. And I asked him, I was like, well, hey, do you think it's, I know it doesn't hurt the snake to feed it something that has a tumor on it, but if that's the only thing it eats, is it bad or, I don't know. I've never had any trouble with it though.
Chadley wants to know why ASFs are so damn hard to find.
I just don't think they're just widely known around the area. We have ASFs at our shop, and we really don't sell that many of them. We once in a while get someone to come in, and if people are comparing them to mice, they're pretty much like the same size. If you're looking at the size, ASFs will get a little bit bigger, but the main thing is just that they're supposed to be a more attractive food to ball pythons is what the real value.
Wolf guy said PayPal sent and went ahead and kicked in the extra 10 myself. Thanks guys, and thanks whomever that was that donated it.
That was Dylan Grimes that did the donation on that.
Trisha Galena wants to know how different it is breeding mice.
Mice, they seem to be a lot more sensitive to temperature and just different things. Like I have them on a separate, I would separate them and put them on a separate side of the room to where I have my rats. The rats just seem like a little bit more hardy than the mice do. And then it's just the same thing. I use the same food, the same bedding. The tubs are just smaller because the mice aren't as big. But pretty much the setup and everything is the same. They just are more sensitive to like temperatures and things like that. And you have to keep them clean. Is the main thing. Clean and have plenty of water and food. And also, if you can, I don't know if I think you do this, Jeff, but do you try to keep like a piece of wood or something in there for them to chew on? Or?
Yep, I cut down a 2x4 untreated, and it's got little like 4-inch blocks that go in there for them to chew on.
Yeah, make sure it's untreated like wood, and then just cut it down, and that just gives them something to chew on. Because rats' teeth grow over an inch a year. So they need something to kind of
Keep
chew
going,
on.
you're doing good.
To otherwise they'll get infections and they'll just get too big for their mouths and they won't be able to eat. And I think it kind of helps down on them trying to chew on their tubs. If you have certain, like if you have a tub like this is kind of what our tubs at our shop are like. The angles they have on there, the rats can't get on there to chew it. But if you have some of the older tubs, they might chew a hole in it. Well, if you have something in there for them to chew on, they might not chew on it. Then what are you doing now?
I'm doing something. You're fine. Just keep doing.
I've also noticed because when my rats are breeding, they have the babies in there. There's obviously a lot more feces and urine that's in the tub, and when the blocks get nasty, they quit chewing on them, and then they start chewing on tubs again.
Yeah, so make sure, like when you clean them, I didn't clean them like every time, like when I clean out the tubs, but every once in a while you notice them get kind of nasty, so you take it out and just wash it off with soap and water and put it back in.
It's disgusting. You're a gross snake. I do believe you're female. So here, hold this.
Hold the snake?
Yeah, hold that snake. Keep going. You're doing fine.
You believe it's a female?
Yeah. It fucking pop crap all over me though. Let's keep holding. That's a different snake than we just gave away. Keep doing your thing. I'm doing something else. It'll be fun. I didn't tell you I was going to do this. I just decided to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going. Can't be silent.
Awkward.
This is awkward silence.
I know. Well, you're kind of throwing me off. I don't know what you're doing.
You gotta just roll with me sometimes, man. I'm gonna have some fucking fun, and this is something that's gonna be a good time. You guys, how many people we got on here?
10 said she had a female feeder mouse that ate her babies. How can you avoid that?
Basically, I think it's due to stress, and I don't know if you're opening up the tub a lot and looking at them, checking them out, noise or something could cause it. If you just try to limit all the stress to the rat or the mice, or sometimes I can't find any reason at all, and I just stop breeding that mice or rat. Is what I've done.
Wolf Geist had a rat do that to another's baby.
Yeah.
So I've had that happen too.
Yeah.
Could it possibly be maybe a lack of food? Food getting a little too low. They don't have enough to.
Yeah. If you make sure that they have enough food and water, they will. That'll kind of limit them trying to chew up on their babies. But.
Chadley wants to know if he should be concerned with housing ASFs and rats in the same rack.
No, I did that before. I think I had them in the same rack or right next to them, and I didn't have any trouble with them. The African softwares, they seem like mine would get a little bit. It was probably. They would get a little bit nervous or whatever, or maybe because it was too noisy where they were at. But I had them to where they would chew up a lot of the food and just crumble it, like they wasn't eating it. I just think that was just because they were nervous.
I don't know why. I have one tub with 2 females in it, and they will do the same thing. They'll chew up the food, and just let it drop, and then they just don't eat it because they pee and poop on it all the time.
Yeah. And then I've done homemade built rat tubs. If you're just gonna do your own, or if you're just gonna do a small set of rats, I would recommend building your own. The ones I found doing the best would be they're big black. They call them concrete mixing tubs. You can get them at Home Depot, and build a rack out of those. I found is the best. Because I've had other racks that were made out of dish tubs or something like that, and they ended up chewing out of those a lot more. I didn't have any of them ever chew out of the ones with the black concrete mixing tubs.
Yeah, I bought my last group of tubs from Tiger Chef. It's basically just a hard plastic bus tub.
Yeah.
I have less issues. It's kind of weird with the black tubs, and I do the blue ones.
Yeah.
Oh, I want chicken dinner.
But and then the thing too is you want to make sure like you have um, the different ventilation. If you have just one rack and you keep it pretty clean, I really wouldn't worry about it. But you start getting more rats than that, and it does get like a little bit of an odor. And I remember we just built a separate room that I had like a vent for a bathroom that I vented it out the side of the building.
How many people are on here right now, Jeff?
12.
12. I got 2 more picking up. So you wonder why you're holding snakes?
No,
Why do you think you're holding snakes?
because we're in a snake group.
There's another reason why you're holding snakes.
Okay.
What have we not done in a long time? We probably should be doing.
I don't know.
Well, these people help us a ton and give us lots of cool shit. And what has it been a while since we've done?
Giveaway.
A straight up fucking giveaway.
Okay.
So which one of these you want to give away?
This one.
What about that one?
I don't know.
The proper answer was, why don't we do both?
Okay.
So we have, for your giveaway pleasure,
Chad Walton said Curt has 2 balls in his hand.
he's used to it, is a male GHI. This is from the Patreon clutch. So its number is,
You're not giving mine away, are you?
no,
Okay.
different clutch. You bought the one that didn't say.
Okay.
From the
The sh-
04
02.
clutch, 02 clutch. This is 190509. It's a male GHI, just over 100 grams.
Trisha Galena said she has a rack with the concrete mixing tubs. Worried about my house might be too cold in the winter. It gets down to 70 in my house. Like I said a little bit ago, I have a space heater to keep my temperatures regulated in the rack room, and I run my temperature 70 degrees year round, and I have absolutely no issues.
Yeah, 70 degrees would be fine.
And then,
Like rats are a lot different than mammals. Like they're warm blooded, so they survive a lot better when it gets a little cool.
and then we also have
Chad,
1605, which is a
Chad
female.
Lockwood said he wants a male
spider.
GHI. Oh Lord.
Well, somebody's going to get one and that spider together for free if they want both.
Both or just
Both. They were going to do it. What do you want to do? Separate or both?
Separate, really?
You guys tell me. Do we do it separate or we do it both?
So there's
I
2
want
winners
votes
and not
now.
just one.
2 winners, not just one.
Yes.
I like 2 winners, not just one.
That's always like a breeding pair, you know. Okay, fuck it. We'll do 2. We'll do 2 so they find the list. Are you gonna ban on
Lindsay
white that
Price,
shit for me?
Greg, I don't even know how to say his name. My bad. Girardi, maybe.
Okay.
Wolf Guys, Martok all said separate.
Separate it is, man. You guys speak and we listen. I just got to find the list I just freaking made. You know what? I'm just going to search for it. Oh, there it is. Shit. Back up, back up. There it is. Boom. All right, keep going. So,
Trisha Galenas jumped in on 2 winners too.
so which one do you want to do first, Curt? You want to do the female spider who shot fucking scent gland all over me? I think it's female anyway. And then we have the male GHI. Let me pop that male really quick.
Spider.
Spider first. Girl first. Ladies first. There are some pains. See that red? That's what I'm looking at. I'm going to take my finger away, see how it goes back in, back out, back in. I mean, he ain't Ron Jeremy, but he's definitely a boy. There you go. So female
Here's
first.
Ron Jeremy.
If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. So again, for those of you who are new, this is the way this works. We will put everybody's name in a drawing, and it's weighted. So like,
Wolf Guy said randomize it.
it is definitely randomized. So what happens is, let's say if you're a $100 subscriber, you get 100 chances in the giveaway. If you're a 50, you get 50 chances, 15, 15, 10, 10, and 5, 5.
I'm gonna jump in real quick for Wolfgeist. For the popping, have somebody that knows exactly what they're doing to be able to show you how to do it. You can hurt the snakes if you do it wrong.
Yep, for me it was Scaly Dave who taught me. Speaking of that, one thing I do want to point out.
I showed you one of your first ones too.
Yeah, but he actually used a pressure arm. That's where I learned from.
Oh well, I just
I
showed
got
you.
asked the other day if we're associated with Manhattan Reptile Planet. I want to be very, very clear. We are in no way zip zilch zero associated with Manhattan Reptile Planet. That ain't us, man.
Yeah, our shop is called Manhattan Reptile World.
Which
And-
sounds way better.
Yeah, and someone broke away and they wanted to do their own thing. And
Not
for
a
some
problem, Wolf
reason-
guys.
For some reason, they decided to make the name really similar. I don't know why. We wish they would change it to something different, but we just don't worry about it.
That's true. But I did get asked, so I wanted to be clear. Okay. See if this works. What the hell? That is not what I told you to do, you piece of shit.
We'll let them watch you look like a jackass real quick.
Well, when I do this, I'll turn this around so they can see it. But I didn't apparently get the list copied.
It's an updated list.
Yes, updated as of 9/22/2019. Which is pretty up to date. Right?
Yep.
I had to do the list when we did the
The house.
yes, I had to do the list for the house, so that's how come I have the list updated. And I thought, well, I got it updated. What the fuck? Okay. I think I know what the problem is.
Once again, it's the operator.
Probably is. I think it's because it opened in a okay, now I realize that.
Well, while we got the awkward silence going, any more rat questions?
Yeah, there are no more rat questions.
Or ASF or mice or...
There we go.
But yeah, I know someone said, about if they're worried about getting bit by the rat, and I just usually pick them up by the
Oh,
tail,
that's much better.
and I don't carry them like a really long way. Just pick them out of the tub or just move them short distances.
Most of my bites come when I'm putting the water back in, trying to put that pin in so it doesn't pop out.
Yeah.
That's where I usually get bit.
All right.
What's James W wants to know what the oldest rat is that you have that you won't feed off.
The oldest one I have right now is I have some pet rats at my house, and I ended up moving them to the pet shop for a little while, and we have an old female that's probably about 1.5 years old.
Are you wanting to know how many female rats I have or female snakes, Wolf guys?
Now I'm gonna borrow that for that question. That's a good idea, huh?
Mhm.
Watch, keep sticking on.
Trisha Galena wants to know if she has more right questions. Can she leave them on Patreon for you, Curt?
Yeah.
You'll check them.
Yeah.
I have 20 breeding females right now for rats.
How many snakes do you have?
38.
All right, I'm gonna snatch this up really quick if I can.
There was a question about breeding on age.
Oh, what age do you start breeding them? Then no more questions for 1 second, guys. What age?
What age?
Yes.
Usually like when they're about a medium-sized rat, I'll put them together. They might not breed right away, but that's usually about 7 weeks old.
All right, Trish, you snuck one more in there. Then you got to have me a one quick question break. How long can they be productive breeders?
Like a female,
Yeah.
a year, maybe a little more, like a year to 1.5 years.
I think I'm at probably about 18 months since we did the initial setup. I'm using most of the same breeders. They're still productive.
All right, show off that spider female again. Let's get a close look at that.
Its head's peeking out now.
I get what you mean about when you move your hand. You always yell at me.
Why? You can't keep it in focus.
Yeah. All right, that's what we're drawing for first. As you can see, we have 300 names loaded. Remember, there's some $1 names. That's why it doesn't equal the same. And 3,664 tickets. We're going to hit the pool winners, and it's going to pop up right there if I did this right. All right, it looks like the one is, I hope I spelled that right, Dan Crummy, and I may not spell these names right. Dan Crummy, you win this. So we'll shoot you a message. And then, here, talk for a second. I'm going to log that.
And that is a female spider.
Female. 181605.
Is it het for anything?
No. It was produced by a bumblebee to a calico, so should not be het for anything. I will also send messages to the winners. All right, we ready to do the next one? Can we borrow that back? We already got the list in there, so we are going to pull again. We're going to pull again, pull again, pull winners again. So here we go. Name should change. One Gun Grave are the winner for the GHI mail. Who's getting motion sickness? All right, I'll give this back. This why you can't run cameras, because I just make everybody feel like crap. And that is it. We did do pull 2 giveaways. We did catch up a little bit there.
Oh, stupid. Freaking. There we go.
I don't know if any of those people happen to be on right now.
15.
No. Any people just won.
Oh.
Probably not. But we will message them.
Chad Lockwood is crying.
I'm sorry, dude. Here's the good news. So, for you, Chad, we've got, remember, that was the Patreon clutch. We produced a bunch of normals. Anybody want to say those, let me know. Somebody's asked if you available. Yeah. No, I'm going to take them all to the shop. We did produce 4 GHIs. We still have 3 available. We haven't released that clutch. Well, we did. We only released the normals. Those other 3 GHIs are all scheduled to be either Patreon specials or giveaways. That was your clutch you guys chose. You told me you wanted GHI. Not this year, but last year. It just took a year. So you're going to get all those. So they will be specials to you.
Martox76 wants to know how SK is doing.
Actually, Martok, that was number 06, if I remember right. It was being a complete pain in the ass. I actually had to go to do some assist feeding on it. But it is now eating on its own again. But we did have to assist. It was getting kind of skinny. So it still isn't ready. It's being a pain. But you actually have a meal in there. It did eat on its own this week. And I had assist fed it the week before to get it back going. So it's starting to get a little thin in the tail. Why it took that much time off, I don't know. I tried doing full tub changes and everything else. But it's on the right track now. It's going to be fine. You can still see a little skinny right there. Whoop, pull that back in. But it is doing good. There's nothing stuck in there. It just did not want to eat for me for a bit. But we got it going. But you have to give me some time. I'll give you a weight on it. I just have that right there.
It's right there.
It's going to be light still. Like, it's been one that's been a fight. And some things from that clutch were a fight. We ended up losing a couple snakes from that clutch, actually. It's at 60 grams now, so it's gained very little since then. But they've kind of just been a little bit of a fight for us.
Martok said they do what they do.
Ain't that the fucking truth? But we do got it going. It's just taking me a little time on that one to get it back right. All right. Well, Curt, back to you. I did my thing. Want to throw those up?
Wolfgeist has a snake question.
Sure.
What if a female goes off food but lays on her side on the cool side? I'm gonna go with probably overheating a little bit.
Depends. They will cool a lot if have you been breeding? That's my next question. Have you been pairing at all with that? Because if it's laying on its side, especially, so if it's on the cool side lane, and the rest of your snakes aren't doing that, it could be a sign of building. So they may skip a little bit when they're doing that, then go back to pounding food for a hot minute, but it could be building, especially if it's an adult. All right, I'm just going to shrink this down. I'll deal with that later.
Martok said she's in good hands.
Well, she's in hands.
And,
I'm doing my best, man. But
the side layer is not breeding. She's only at 1,200 grams.
Okay, now 1,200 grams. I always make this comparison. I'm waiting for somebody to get mad at me for it. But I kind of look at that. She could still be going through the process and still be kind of doing building. And I kind of say, we don't breed till at least 1,500 usually around here. But I kind of compare it to humans. If you take a human female, and we don't really recommend human females having babies until they're, well, societally speaking, probably about 20-something is typically what they really look for. But health-wise speaking, probably, I'd say anything under 16, you're starting to run into a lot more risk. But humans have had babies as early as 13 and 14. Doesn't make it good. It just means it's possible. So when you have a 1,200-gram female, although she's too small and probably too young to really be bred most of the time, it doesn't mean that she still isn't capable. So she still may be going through that full hormonal process. I still wouldn't breed her just like, you know, throwing the prison sentence out and looking at purely science, you know, you shouldn't be trying to have a 12-year-old human have children. It's just not a good idea, even though it's scientifically possible. Does that make sense? Or I sound like a pedophile? So I'm not trying to sound like a pedophile. I hate that.
Next question on that one. So is there a chance you could still start taking food again? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you're also kind of at that weight, and it's between about 800 and 1,200 grams. They usually just kind of go off. And I think the weight range depends on breeding season. They usually go off during that breeding time because they're going through that process and that change. But she'll probably be okay as long as the rest of your snakes are doing good. Until your care is still fine. You know, sometimes a tub cleaning or a movement, like moving her from a place to a place in the rack, can make a difference. At least I know JKR worked with that a little bit and said he had some success. But it's just, sometimes you just gotta wait them out as long as their health is looking good and understand that that's the process. There's not people with a pet snake like, well, my snake never goes off. Hey, you're doing something wrong. You're gonna get that. But the thing is, when you have a pet snake, you're not having an ass load of pheromones and hormones in the room. And these guys are very instinctual. So they're going to operate off of what, you know, hormones tell them to do. They're going to scent. The men will know when the girls are ready. The females will know that there's males around and that it's ready. If you don't have those things being introduced, they're not going to, you know, they'll feed all year most of the time, or better all year. I think, anyway, personally. I think the more you have, the more difficult it gets in some ways, honestly. But that's just me. So, anything else? Remember, you guys get me all
Last
the time.
one was
Question,
Chad Lee, shameless plug, but if anyone is near South Carolina, there's a show October 27th at south of the border.
South of the border, South Carolina. What's south of the South Carolina?
Wolf.
North Carolina.
Sure. Wolfgeist also says she has two pairs that are locking in the same rack as the 1,200 gram.
That could be part of your cause. Not saying it is. Still make sure your care is on point. But if everything is on point, everything else is doing good, I wouldn't freak out too much as long as the weight's still fine. I mean, I've been going through that. They're back on food now with 2 of my head exanthic females. I was really hoping to get ready.
I'm getting ready to start my pairing again too, and I have a few normal food pounders that are off food again.
All right. So, any more rat questions for camera guy Curt?
Do you have any rat questions?
Yeah, any more ASFs? See, I don't have questions for Curt because
you get to ask him all the time.
Well, ask him. I'm like, this is what I need. It's so funny because, like, in our relationship,
I need a Curt.
It's changed to the point where, like, you're really invested in what you do rat wise. And so he knows his shit, and I just like, hey, this is what I need, and he just makes it happen. And when it comes to snakes, I'm like, well, what do you think about this pairing, or this is what I'm thinking about pairing? He's just like, whatever. You know, there's very few pairings like, well, I'd like to do this. Usually got maybe 1 or 2 a year, and I've already usually I'm ahead of the game on this. I know what he wants. I'm like, well, I'm working towards that. But I got to drag that out of him because most of he's like, I don't care. I just trust her.
So we got Wolf Guy said she appreciates the rat Q&A. James W, how many rats do you think it would take for a collection of 30 ball pythons, feeding, weaning to mediums? I'm at 38 right now. I have 20 breeding females, and I rotate 6 males through my collection, and that produces enough for mine. And then I also feed my mom's collection of 6, and I have somebody that buys pinkies from me every week. So I produce enough for that.
If you can get somebody to buy enough to pay your food bill. That was our goal when we first started. So we roached enough local customers to pay for our food, but we weren't trying to become a competitive rat breeding facility, but we didn't want to pay for it. Yeah. We wanted rats to be free. And when we got to that point, man, it was the second most liberating thing we've ever done for our business.
Yeah, so if you have 30 snakes, I'd say maybe I'd start out with 16 breeding females.
Yes, Wolfgeist, my mom's collection. Took me probably 10 years of begging to get a snake, and she let me get one in 7th grade. Still have that guy. And she was still scared to death of him for a while, and I finally broke her, got her to hold my old guy, and now she's got her own.
Also, Wolfgeist, shoot me a text with your confirmation of your address and everything else. I know I've got it somewhere, but I always like to double check, and I will try to get that snake shipped out to you Monday. I got 2 to drop off. now.
Lindsay Price wants to know what she should look for when looking for online frozen thawed sellers. Are there major indicators of quality care?
Uh, I'll be honest. Whenever I was buying online frozen rodents, I pretty much bought from Rodent Pro.
That's who I used to.
And it wasn't because Rodent Pro necessarily had maybe the best rats. I mean, the things that you're going to nitpick about, they're so minimal on those companies, and they're really all doing the same damn thing, that it came down to who could get me the rats I needed always, and who could get me the rats I needed at the best price. And Rodent Pro was hard to beat for that. Also, the cool thing with Rodent Pro is if you have a show in your area that they go to, and with us, Rodent Pro went to Kansas City every time, and Kansas City had a show every 2 months, and they were only about 2 hours away. So you can call Rodent Pro on the phone, ring them up, and you can order your rats at the online price for show pickup. You're not paying a dime of shipping. So I'd go to the show, fuck off all day, enjoy the show, pick up my rat order, take it home, and that was really nice because the online price is cheaper than the show price, and one of the most expensive things is the shipping. So we were really cutting our bills down by trying to get 6 months of rats at a time and making one trip to Kansas City to do so. That is definitely how I would recommend doing it if you have the ability, if you have a show in your area. But I also had a freezer dedicated to just storing rats. So I could buy enough, fill a freezer, wean it down, buy enough, fill a freezer, wean it down. So it also comes down to freezer space, which I still have a freezer full of rats.
I'm going to assume James Porter was not online when you answered this already. So again, what weight do you start breeding, and how long will they usually last before burning out?
So usually about 7 weeks is when you can start putting them together. It might take another week or 2 before they actually start breeding. And then a breeding female will probably live a year and a half.
Kind of on the same subject, Chadley wants to know at what time should you introduce new blood into your rat breeding?
It just kind of depends. Like when I did it, I had it all, I had it separated by racks. So on this rack here, like when I need, like say if a female died over here, I would always pull it from a different rack, so I made sure that they weren't getting like the same genetics. So I would grab ones from a different rack to put in there. But basically every time like one would die, I would just put a fresh one in there and just make sure it wasn't one of the siblings from that tub.
So basically you end up with a small town genetics where everybody's a cousin, but still, diverse enough.
Yeah.
And not Arkansas genetics where your sister is your cousin and you're married her anyway.
Yeah.
And I can do that because my family's from Arkansas, so I can make that joke. I want to point that out before I offend anybody. That's right.
James Porter said, thanks, Curt.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right. Anything else before we hop off of here? We'll take a couple more, just 2 more, and then we're going to get off because we got to do some other filming today, and we got to try to get through some t-shirts today. So I got to send out the list I got together if I can make a new list so we can get caught up on that shit. And then I got to get some boxes ready today because now I got to drop some snakes off tomorrow.
Nothing after thanks.
Well, without that, thanks. We'll go ahead and hop up off of here. Guys, thanks for watching. I don't know if you caught this.
Audra P. have a rat mom that still looks very pregnant, even 10 days now after her having her first litter. Male is not with her. Is it possible for her to have a double pregnancy?
I've never had that happen before.
Is it possible she didn't pass some babies?
I don't know.
Like, how many babies she have? I almost wonder if she didn't have some she can't get out.
I haven't had that problem, so.
Yeah, or she might just have like an internal tumor or something.
Oh, they do get tumorish. Yeah. One thing I want to say before I hop off here, I don't know if you guys caught it, but I said we were able to breed enough rats and feed our collection for free by selling if you had that going. It was the second most liberating thing we've ever done for our business. That means there's something that's been even more liberating than that, and that is you guys. So that's why we're happy to do the giveaways. And I want to say thank you guys for helping us do the charity stuff that we do, because that means a lot to me. And we're filming on 4G still. I'm fighting the internet company, but we are filming in a reptile house, and a collection that we wouldn't be able to have at this point in time if it wasn't for you guys. So, as liberating as the rats were, man, they were a keystone, a launch pad for us. The most liberating thing we've ever done is this with you guys. So, thank you very, very much for that. Curt, anything you want to add?
I'm gonna answer a question real quick. Wolfgeist, yes, you can add me on Facebook. You can bug me whenever. I'm usually up all night.
Yeah, because he's just like us. I hate that guy. By the way, that's Redneck Jeff running the camera for us today. He has to run a little camera work you'll see for video we're doing because it's going to take.
All right, so question that you had for Audra. She had 8 in her litter, which is about average for her litters. It's her 3rd out of in her life.
No, I don't. She's got a retained baby in there.
No.
She may just be tumorish. But if she's tumorish, I'll be honest, she's probably going to die, right?
I do have some females that go nuts on eating right after they lay, and they put on weight really fast, so that could possibly be it.
Hopefully. But all you can really do at that point is just kind of ride it out. And if it starts getting a growth on the side, feed it off. I have fed many a tumor mouse to my snakes, unlike mice, and it doesn't hurt them. It's just a little extra protein. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad we got the man, the myth, the legend on here to answer some questions for us for rats for once. Because it's always me saying, I don't know. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week.